Now we're going to go over the turning loose part. What I want to do when I go to turn my horse loose is essentially the same thing. I don't want to just not have any regard for what my horse is doing, because it can kind of create some bad habits where the horses can spin away, they can kick at you, they can get in a hurry and things like that. What I want to do is try as best as I can to make sure that my horse is still with me. So a lot of times when I go to turn a horse loose, they know it's the end of the day, it's the last thing, and they might be getting in a hurry to leave, particularly if their friends are out in the pasture or there's food in the stall or wherever I'm turning them loose. So what I'd want to do is I'd come up here and I'd loosen my halter a little bit, but then I'm going to ask him to come back over here and connect with me. So I'm going to soften him. I'm going to hold my fingers here on the side and then my right hand on the top and ask him to soften to me. I'd untie this knot while he's down there. Now, if he were to leave again while I was doing that, I'd ask him back down, because I kind of want him in this position. He can be more or less straight, but I'd like to see maybe a little bit of arc to the left, and I'd want to see where his head was down here and he was soft and easy for me to get to. From here, I would take my halter loose, drop the nose. Now, this right here is where a lot of people would send this horse off. You want to be really, really careful doing things like that. It just creates a bad precedent for you and your horses, especially if you got somebody else that's going to be catching these horses and maybe they're not as aware as you are. So what I do here is from this point is I'd keep this halter kind of around his neck, and then I'd get his attention a little bit before he were to leave, and maybe ask him to soften again and just do this in a couple pieces rather than just splitting and leaving. And then when it is time to leave, I would come under here, I'd get my halter in one hand, I'd rub on him, and then I'm going to walk away from him, because ideally he wouldn't be leaving me in this process, I would be leaving him. Now, while he's loose, what I'm going to do is going to maybe demonstrate how I might try to set him up to be caught. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of walk back and forth just a little bit. And what I'd like to see out of my horse is that he's slightly engaged with me, that he is trying to look me up, he's trying to find me. Notice how he's kind of working back and forth here. You could do this in a horse stall, you could do this in your pasture, but maybe you have to teach your horse something like this first in a round pen or something. Now, we're going to go over things like this in our video series about how to get that, but you want to make sure that when you go to catch your horse, you're not just catching him, say, not paying attention, like say he's over there, his head's over the fence, he's not engaged with me, and then you were to walk up here and kind of disturb him. This kind of starts your day off with him ignoring you. Because what can happen is maybe later on in the day, you start to have troubles with your horse. He's ignoring you. He's not focused on you. He wants to buck or spook or whatever the thing is that you have with your horse. Maybe it's out on the trail or in the arena. Well, you kind of already told him from the start of the day that it doesn't matter if he's engaged or not, okay? What I want him to do is be looking me up from the very beginning. So I'm going to try to set this precedent. I'm going to get his attention. So I'm going to come over here, look at his hindquarters, ask him to face up. Now, if your horse doesn't know how to do that, we're going to have lessons on how to get that. But now he's looking at me. His head's not maybe in the perfect position, but it's good enough for me to get my halter up underneath here where I can set him up here, turn my halter to his nose, wind that. Maybe I want his head just a little bit lower, and then I can go ahead and catch him from here. These little things are very, very important, and it just kind of helps set you up for success later. If you don't have little things like that working, it's just kind of, it's like some of you want the roadmap and you want the journey, you want the next step, you want the secrets. Well, a lot of these secrets are in the little things, like how was he to catch that day? Rather than like, how do I fix his bucking? How do I fix his bolting? Those things are important, but really it could be much more simple than that, because what you might find on those horses that are a little bit more troubled is you actually started out rougher than you needed to that day. He wasn't engaged, he wasn't focused, he wasn't looking for you, he wasn't soft, he wasn't willing, and then that continued on, but then you didn't really notice it until you got into a jam. So what we're going to be doing in a lot of these little tips and then courses and all of these things that are available is we're going to be going over all these little tiny details and then trying to help you guys piece them together so that you're more successful with your horses.